Hey, hey. Well, welcome to another math video, you rock stars. Today we're going to talk about parts of a circle. I'm excited for this today because this should be a pretty simple one in regards to how long it takes. It's mostly going to be vocab today, just really focused on what are the parts of a circle. So in later videos, we can dive into deeper concepts. Like what happened when the wheel, which is a circle, what happened when the wheel was invented? It caused a revolution. Hey, hey, hey. All right. You have to admit that's kind of funny. All right. Well, today we're going to identify and describe these characteristics of a circle: the chord, a diameter, a radius, a circumference, and briefly talk about area of a circle. We'll go into that deeper in a later video. Okay, so let's talk circle. The main point of this whole video is a circle. Well, a circle is a plane shape, which means it's two-dimensional, it's flat. It's bounded by a continuous line, so it's one line. And that line, every point on that line is exactly the same amount of distance away from the center of the circle. So if I were to take a measurement from any part of this space and go, how long is that? How long is that? How long is that? They'd all be exactly the same length. Next one is diameter, okay? A straight line passing through the center of a circle to touch both sides of the circumference. We're going to get to that word in a second. But basically what it means is it's a line passing through the middle of the circle and touching both sides. So it touches both sides. It touches here and it touches there and it goes through the middle. Or another one could go from here to there. That's a horrible line, but it passes through the middle. Radius, think diameter, but we're only going from the center out. So radius only goes from the center to the edge of a circle, okay? And it's half of a diameter because it's going halfway across a circle. So the circumference just means the outside of the circle. So if you draw a circle, you are drawing the circumference, okay? It's the distance around a circle. And when we think of all these other shapes that you've probably dealt with, like squares and parallelograms and rectangles, and we try to find the perimeter, we're trying to find the distance around the outside of that shape. Well, circumference is the circle's version of perimeter. It's the distance around the shape. Okay, so in a chord, not an accord, a chord is a straight line joining any 2 points of the circumference of a circle, okay? But it doesn't have to go through the center. So this is a chord because it does touch the outsides of the circle here and here, but it does not go through the center, so we have to label it a chord. If it went through the middle, we'd call it a diameter. So another chord could go from here to here, one could go from here, just misses there, could go from, you see any line that touches two edges of the circle, but does not go through the center. Okay, in the area of a circle, so we know kind of what area means, like when we've dealt with squares and rectangles and all those different shapes. It's the amount of squares it takes to cover that shape. And the squares can never overlap, means they just have to touch sides. So for the area of a circle, we're going to figure out the number of non-overlapping square units required to fill the region enclosed by the curve. And if you just think about that, you may be saying to yourself already, like, well, how are we going to get squares into a circle? How are we going to make that work? We're going to get into that in a later video. Area of a circle. All right, so if you look at this, here's kind of a good picture of a circle. The circumference is that thing that goes all the way around the outside. It is the circle line that when you draw it or you see a circle, the thing that makes the shape of the circle is the circumference. And we'll be measuring that and we'll be calling it how long that circumference is. And we're going to also think of that as the perimeter. Okay, then we have radius. It's from the center of the circle. It's from the center of the circle all the way to an edge. All right, so that is a radius because it goes from the center on the way out. Okay, next we have diameter. It's a line that goes from edge to edge of the circumference or from the circle, and it has to go through the middle. So that's why our diameter works. That's why that's a diameter. And then you look next, you see a chord. A chord is one that goes from edge to edge without going through the middle. It's a straight line that touches 2 points on the circle, and it does not go through the middle. All right, let's fill in some blanks. The distance around a circle is called, okay, we said another word for it would be perimeter, but it's the circumference. Blank is the straight line passing through the center of a circle to touch both sides of the circumference. That is the important part of that, and that would be the diameter. A straight line connecting any two parts of the circle is called what? Notice it did not say the center this time. So this one is called the chord. And finally, the distance from the center of a circle to its circumference. So it's not going all the way across, it's just from the distance of a circle to any part of the circumference is called the radius. Those are going to be some of the most important words that you're going to use as we dive into circles more and more, and as your understanding of circles gets even better. All right, so let's wrap it up. Let's talk about a little historical dad joke for you. Why were the early days of history called the Dark Ages? The early days of history called the Dark Ages. It's because there were so many nights. Yeah, that would be nights spelled with a K.